This could change everything for the Chicago Bulls. We're going to be talking about what Vooch had to say after a retirement game for Goran Dragic, and we're going to be talking about a scenario in which the Chicago Bulls could perhaps move Zach LaVine and Vooch. This is your host, Rico Greenhowe, and you found yourself on another episode of Bulls Digest. And before we jump into today's hot topics, I want to go ahead and share a special message from the sponsor of today's video, Fume. Have you heard that the flavored air category is quickly becoming the leading alternative to vaping and smoking? It's a whole new movement towards better habits led by the sponsor of today's video, Fume. Fume has served over 300,000 customers, and you could be the next success story. For a limited time, use my code DIGEST to get your free topper. It's the perfect accessory to your Fume device. Slip it onto the mouthpiece for a softer, warmer feel. It's chewable for those who love to fidget, and it's reusable. Head to tryfume.com. That's tryfume.com and use the code DIGEST, or you can scan the QR code on the screen to get your free Fume topper when you order your journey pack today. Go to tryfume.com/digest or scan the QR code and use the code DIGEST to get your free Fume base when you order your journey pack today. All right, so we are talking about Vooch and what his recent statements were following a retirement game for Goran Dragic. And he used to play for the Chicago Bulls and the Miami Heat, very good guard. And so they caught up with him and they were asking him about his career. And he talks about the fact that he has played 13 seasons already in the NBA. He has 2 more seasons to go with the Chicago Bulls. And he feels like that he has 2 more after that. And so I think that is very interesting. He's talking about the fact that the end is probably coming for him and his career, but he still feels like he can be elite for another 4 years. And so I thought that was very interesting, considering that he has had a little bit of a slip as far as the numbers are concerned, but the confidence is not lacking for Vooch. And he also talked about the fact that the Chicago Bulls really have struggled due to trade rumors and injuries. This is something that is really not new news for us, but the fact that he came forward to talk about that just kind of lets you know, I guess, the pressure that was really put on this team. And, he talks about the fact, too, that last season, he really felt like if they did not get it done, he's talking about that group with DeMar DeRozan, LaVine himself, and Lonzo Ball, that essentially that this was probably going to be the end of that group. And it looks like that we are trending towards that this season, because he does say that, look, this season is probably going to dictate what happens. And I think he has to be probably talking about the fact that the Chicago Bulls are going to let both him and LaVine pretty much play into situations where they're going to be playing for somebody else in the next season or so. And so, with that being said, I'll give you a brief little clip of what was said in the article. You get a chance to see exactly what was going on with his numbers per se. And so you look at that right there. They talk about the fact that he shot below 50% and also 30% from downtown. He talks about the injuries and then also to the trade rumors. But I came up with a way in which the Chicago Bulls could get rid of Vooch and Zach LaVine. And this comes into an article that I just caught. It came out a couple days ago, actually August the 13th. But they're suggesting that the Golden State Warriors would trade Andrew Wiggins to the Bulls, and we would trade Vooch to Golden State. Also, too, we would trade Javon Carter, Torrey Craig, and we would get Trace Jackson Davis over in this particular deal. And so I like it. This is something that I also saw on Bulls Central. Shout out to that particular podcast. And what he was talking about there is that it makes a lot of sense for Vooch to move over to Golden State because Golden State is trying to maximize their championship window. He did just talk about the fact that he feels like he has about 4 years left. That kind of goes right into where Draymond and Steph Curry are, right into that time frame. And I think that they've really they haven't necessarily played with a legit big that could maybe shoot the ball as well as Vooch has shown in the past. I know he doesn't necessarily bang on the block as much, but you'd have to think that with Vooch, they would be able to stretch the floor a bit. It would be an interesting fit with Vooch and then also to Draymond and Steph and what they have with Buddy Hield. So it does give them a little bit of a window depending on what they have around them. Obviously, we would move on from Vooch, and we also move on from Javon Carter and Torrey Craig, who I think are not going to be a part of the Chicago Bulls in their future. I love the fact that the Chicago Bulls would get a young big back from Golden State that I absolutely think fits. But I took this a little bit further and I thought to myself, okay, if the Chicago Bulls were going to go ahead and move Vooch to a contender, what could it possibly look like if they opened up a lane for Zach LaVine and a team was willing to go ahead and take on Zach LaVine? They felt like that they were a couple pieces away from possibly maybe making another run at the finals. And I went ahead and I used a team that has been linked to Zach LaVine, and that is the Miami Heat. I went ahead and suggested a 4-team trade, so let's go ahead and go over it. And so, look, I have the Chicago Bulls sending out Vooch, Javon Carter, and Torrey Craig over to Golden State, just as suggested in the article. We're going to get Trace Jackson Davis back. We would also, too, be sending Zach LaVine and Andrew Wiggins, right, over to the Miami Heat, because it was suggested that Wiggins would be going to the Bulls. We send him over to the Heat. We would get Tyler Hero. We also would get Terry Rozier and Duncan Robinson. And then I would suggest that we would send Lonzo Ball back to the Los Angeles area to play for the Clippers, and we would get Norman Powell. This is a successful deal. You're looking at the cap space and where we would be at there. But I think that this addresses a lot of different needs for the Chicago Bulls. I think starting with the fact that we actually get a young center that we could build with. I think that that would be phenomenal to go with a Giddey and a Kobe White situation. And then also, too, we add the shooters with Tyler Hero and then also, too, Duncan Robinson. And Terry Rozier would be a nice addition for the bench, possibly to come off with Ayo Dosunmu. So let me know in the comments what you're thinking about that particular proposed trade. Do you like that trade? Would you go with that? Or, would you rather just go ahead and just move Vooch? So let me know in the comments what you're thinking. And before we jump out of here, I just want to thank everybody for liking and sharing the video and let you know that 65.7% of you that watch the videos are not subscribed to the channel. So make sure that you press that like and continue to slam dunk on that subscribe button. It means a lot to me as we try to reach 5,000 subscribers. And even though we are still talking about hypothetical trades that are not close to happening, I'm still saying go Bulls. And as usual, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.